All right, now that I'm unmuted, welcome everybody. um, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Conversations with the Council. I am super excited for today's chat that we get to do. We are going to be talking about the 2020-2021 Compassionate Community Project that the City of Lacey and North Thurston Public Schools and the Lacey South Sound Chamber are partnering together with this year. So we are going to hear a little bit from everybody, but first I just want to introduce our guests and our council members who are joining us. We have Deputy Mayor Cynthia Pratt joining us today.
Hi.
And we have Councilmember Carolyn Cox. And we have the pleasure of having the Superintendent of North Thurston Public Schools, Deb Clemens, joining us.
Hey, everyone.
And also with North Thurston Public Schools, we have Courtney Shreve, the Communications Director.
Hello.
And we have Blake Knobloch with the Lacey South Sound Chamber, the Executive Director. Hi, Blake.
Hi, thanks so much for having me today. I appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah. And from the Thurston County Food Bank, we have the Director, Robert Coit.
Good evening, everyone.
And Judy Jones, who is the Development Director.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Everybody's volume is good. We can hear everybody. So as I said, I'm really excited for today's conversation. This is a project that I work closely on myself as on behalf of the City of Lacey with our Public Affairs Department. And it's a joy every year to get to work with our partners with the school district and with the food bank and the Lacey Chamber. It's a pleasure and a joy, and I look forward to it every year. So we're going to kind of get right into it. So this is our fourth year that we are participating in a compassionate community effort. And I thought we could start with the Deputy Mayor giving us just a little background on how Lacey and our partners became part of the compassionate community effort. So Cynthia, if you want to take it over and share a little bit, go ahead and unmute yourself. Perfect.
Okay, I would love to. So in March 2015, the City of Lacey followed the North Thurston School District in signing the International Charter for Compassion, whose vision is to live in a world where everyone is committed to living by the principle of compassion. So what does that mean? Basically, it means that in a compassionate community, people are motivated by compassion to take responsibility for and care for each other. Shortly after the council joined the charter, the Lacey South Sound Chamber joined as well. And the city partnered with the North Thurston Public Schools and the Lacey South Sound Chamber and held a kickoff Compassion Contagious Community Forum that was really well attended by businesses and community members of all ages. The three partners agreed to establish a compassion project each year that we could work together to support, as well as ideas that each organization could do individually to celebrate compassion. And that basically is all that was to it, except it's a really big deal.
So. It is a really big deal. And I think that, all of our partners would agree that this is something that we've really enjoyed doing over the last few years. And it's been such a blessing to be able to support our Thurston County Food Bank for a couple of those years. Councilmember Cox, do you want to give a brief overview of what those projects have been that we have established each year?
Sure, I'd be glad to, Jenny. Well, here we are already at year 4 of the Compassionate Community Projects. And before I launch into what they are, I just want to say this project is just one of the many reasons it's so great to be in Lacey.
Yeah.
So in 2017, we chose the Lacey Food Bank's farm stand for our fundraiser. Each of the partners worked to collectively raise a little over $35,000 to help support the farm stand, which now sits along the front portion of the property on Martin Way. If you haven't been there, you need to go check it out because it is super. In 2018, there was an inspired movement to collect 100,000 acts of kindness in which the community documented actions large and small and submitted and tracked to the North Thurston School District website. And we actually surpassed that goal. So a lot of good was happening in Lacey in 2018. 2019 brought the Seasons of Compassion. So each organization identified different ways that they could make a compassionate impact on the community in each quarter or season of the year. Employees, students, and businesses all participated in this one. And now for this year, our goal is to collectively raise $100,000 to go toward finishing the development of Lacey's food bank pantry, which will be the final phase in completing that project.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And I think $100,000 sounds like a really big goal, but I think our community is up for it. It was super inspiring when we were raising money back in, 2017 for the farm stand, just to see how many students got involved, how many employees got involved, business owners, and especially coming out of a really, really hard year. I think people are looking for ways to give back and to become engaged and involved in their community. So I'm excited to see what our school district schools can do, what the city can do, our residents, our community members, business owners. There's a lot of people coming together to work towards this goal. So I feel really hopeful that we will in fact reach this goal. I thought it would be great to have Robert and Judy. Actually, we wanted to show a video. I was just looking at my notes. So yeah, the city worked to put together a video that is going to showcase what this project is all about, give kind of a general overview of the Lacey Food Bank site. And this is a way that we're going to push the information out through social media, put it on websites. So if we can go ahead and just show the video, and we'll come back after that.
The City of Lacey, North Thurston Public Schools, and Lacey South Sound Chamber are excited to announce our 4th annual Compassionate Community Project, Lacey's Food Pantry. The Thurston County Food Bank has worked hard over the past few years to bring this unique service to the Lacey community. The pantry is the final phase for the development of Lacey's Food Bank site. The new campus is already home to a therapeutic victory farm, leased to Greb and maintained by local veterans, as well as Lacey's Farm Stand, which distributes fresh and nutritious produce. Lacey's Pantry, the anchor of the site, sits at the center of the property and will look like an old-fashioned general store when it's finished. Customers can come weekly or monthly to receive food at the pantry, much like the Client Service Center in downtown Olympia. In the coming months, the City of Lacey, North Thurston Public Schools, and Lacey South Sound Chamber will raise money to support the pantry project and the Lacey community. For more information on how you can get involved, please visit any of the partnering sites.
I just think that turned out really well. I think it's a good, it's a quick, short to the point, and it just really showcases the Lacey Food Bank site really well. So Judy and Robert, would you like to share a little bit about where you guys are at with the development of the Lacey Food Bank site? Maybe what your goal is, what the cost is looking like, overall, just kind of give us a brief summary.
So Judy, if you would like to start with that?
Okay, I most certainly can. So we've got some construction updates. For those of you who maybe have driven past in the last week, the concrete foundation did finally go in. Believe it or not, there was a shortage with concrete, so there was a small delay. We have had some delays along the way. It's been interesting, but the concrete is down and it's curing. We have another week for it to cure. After that, the metal building, which is pretty much a kit, is on site, and you will start seeing that erected in probably 7 to 10 days. That will probably be fully erected by the end of the year. And then we start finishing and really getting some of the more challenging, difficult work done on the inside. Electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling, permanent refrigeration, and then all the finishing details. Timeline is as those finishing details get done, we'll be able to move in. So maybe move in late February, early March. And we're I think, confident and optimistic that a soft open in early April is very realistic. So that's our timeline. I would say that the project to finish building is about a $1.5 million project, and we have raised about $1 million. We are in the last $500,000 to raise, and so we're super excited that we were selected to be the 4th year in our 2nd term as a compassionate community project with Lacey and the partners. We're very excited about your goal and about your help in getting us that last $500,000 to pay off this building next year. And I'll turn it over to Robert.
Thank you, Judy.
A few things I would add is, obviously with the current COVID pandemic, we'll be starting out with a slightly different service model. So we won't really be able to open a general store where people can shop. It'll have to be drive-up services just to maintain social distancing and keep people safe. I would say that property really wasn't designed for a drive-up model, but we've been already doing plans and drawing pictures on how to pull that off. But we will be open and able to serve households in the general and expanded Lacey community. It'll just look different for a while. But we do hope by July, August, we can go back to our dearly loved shopping model and give households the dignity and respect of choosing the food they take home.
Great. Robert or Judy, whomever wants to answer this, can you speak a little bit to, because so there is the farm stand that's finished and that most people can see as they drive by. Is that open and available for people to visit right now? Or can you speak a little bit to what that status is? I know that it's affected with COVID as well. And then also maybe just touch on the Victory Garden. I know we're kind of coming out of the summer season, but yeah, just kind of the status of that site as a whole and if there's anything to access at this time.
So I'll take the heat for that one and basically say organizationally, we had to make some tough decisions around staffing. We're primarily a volunteer-based organization. And in March, we lost 65–70% of our workforce as they stayed home to be safe. I currently have staff that were hired to do Project X, and they're now providing food distribution services. Mm-hmm. And it's been a real challenge to stay open at both buildings, our warehouse and at the client service center downtown. So staff are distributing food. We do not have a large workforce of volunteers currently. So we really couldn't staff the farm stand in addition to the other 2 locations. One of the other weird things about the COVID crisis we had to do is, what if someone came down with a positive test? Mm-hmm. So my staff is actually segregated. And I mean that in a positive way, not a negative way. But if you work at the warehouse, you're not allowed to work downtown. If you work at the pop-up, you're not allowed to work downtown or at the warehouse. The idea is if someone tests positive at the warehouse, I only have to close the warehouse and the other parts of the organization can stay open. So it stretched our small number of staff even further. So unfortunately, we really weren't able to open the farm stand.
Right.
We are looking forward to doing that soon, but it's just the realities of the current environment. I wish I could be more positive, but that's the reality.
Well, that's understandable. It's I think everybody's been touched by COVID in some way, and unfortunately, this is just a result of our circumstances right now. But you guys do amazing work, and I'm always blown away by the efforts that your staff puts forth. And I've worked with you guys for several years now, and I've been out at the pop-up food banks that you guys put on, and it's just impressive. You show up for the community. time and time again. So kudos to you guys. And I think it's fair to say that you guys need more volunteers, right? So that's another thing. If anybody watching is looking for a way to get involved physically, you know, boots on the ground, please contact the Thurston County Food Bank because they need help. And I'm sure that your volunteers that you guys already have are just being worked to the bone and are putting in a lot of time. So the relief would be appreciated, I'm sure. Well, thank you for kind of an update on our Lacey site. I thought that we could get into how the city and the school district and the chamber are going to be supporting our campaign this year. So I'll turn it over to Deb and Courtney. If you guys want to touch base from the school district perspective, that would be wonderful. And maybe just also touch on what this project means to you guys as well.
Sure. Thank you, Jenny. So first of all, I just want to share that it is so exciting to drive past the farm stand and know that we were a part of creating that project. There are a lot of times that we participate in donating dollars and you don't always see the impact of your donation. So the fact that, you know, in 2017, all of our students had the opportunity to participate in a coin drive and contribute coins that added up to that, you know, $35,000 between all of us is really rewarding. And when we introduced to our staff this fall, the fact that we were coming back to participate in this capital campaign, our staff, you know, got to see the result of what, even if they haven't driven by there, we had a picture of the farm stand. And if people remember what that site, the entire site looked like before Thurston County Food Bank took over the site, it's absolutely amazing. It really is a space that once it's fully operational, people will have some confidence in coming and being served and picking up food there. So we're really excited to partner again on this project. And you know, there is a lot of hardship in our community right now. And what's so exciting about this project is these dollars are going to pay back the community for years, because it's not just a one-time event. It's you know, creating a building that will serve our community for many, many years. So that is super exciting. I'm going to let Courtney share the web page where people can hop online. I've done it already. It's super easy to donate. It's on our website, and I'll have Courtney talk about it. But I did want to share that each of our schools and each of our departments will decide how they want to raise the dollars for this project. We have a strategic plan goal around empowering our students and honoring student voice. So each of our principals will be working with their principal student advisory to determine how it is that they're going to raise funds. To make it easy for our schools, we created a website so that the donation can be done electronically. But it's very likely that schools will be doing fundraising where families can come by a school and make a donation, whether it's a penny drive, a coin drive, or some other way to donate at the school site. So Courtney, do you want to share a little bit about the webpage that's been created and how that all works?
Absolutely. So like everybody else, this is a really wonderful project. We're very excited. So if you go, and this website is for the whole project. I know it's on North Thurston's website, but the page you go to can be found on the Facebook page. There's a City of Lacey Compassion Facebook page. You can get it from there. But if you go to our website and click on, this is the compassion symbol, and it takes you to this page. And we've got our little thermometer there to measure, you know, how much we've raised over time. And if you go right here, this is what the new food pantry, this is the architectural rendering of it. This is the farm stand on the left that exists already, and then this is the food bank. But if you go here, you can actually choose where you want your money to go. So you can certainly send checks directly to the Thurston County Food Bank, but we'd like you, if you want to be a part of this campaign, to note that on your check, like Lacey's Food Pantry, or you can just go here and give electronically. You can pick, like, say you have kids at Lydia Hawk and you want the money to be credited toward Lydia Hawk, because sometimes schools like to have a friendly competition. Or maybe you don't have kids in the area, but Evergreen Forest is your neighborhood school. Or if you are a business owner and want to give via Lacey Southsound Chamber or the City of Lacey in general, this is all just, you know, for fun and for schools who are tracking their progress. But kids and especially high school principals can get very competitive. So you can give that way. And then it's just very easy to give. You do your credit card. Certainly, like Deb mentioned, it's hard times, and we know that for a lot of us, giving is not an option. But for those that can, whether it's $1, $50, or $500, this money is going to go to good use to feed families in our community. And as many families I know from anecdotally will tell you, many of them never expected that they would use the food bank, and that's why it's for everybody. It's not just people you think might use the food bank. COVID has hit so many of our families so hard, and I know that Robert and Judy can speak to how much the need has gone up, and I believe it's 27% in a normal year of the folks who are going downtown for Olympia's food bank are actually from the Lacey area, and it's probably even more than that. But we're just really excited to be a part of this, and like Deb said, the schools will be doing their own thing. Some clubs may be having friendly competitions, but the idea is to get this up to $100,000. And like Jenny, it seems like a large goal, but people are we're coming into the season of Thanksgiving. This will be going on through June. So we really hope everyone can pull together and give a little something to get us to our goal, so we can have a place to feed our folks in Lacey.
Great. Thank you so much, Courtney and Deb, for that great info. I agree, Courtney. I think that we'll be surprised at how fast it can add up if people are able to just donate even a couple of dollars. So thank you for your work on the website. It looks fantastic, and it's going to be a super easy way for people to donate. And I believe, Robert or Judy, is there a way for people to donate through the Thurston County Food Bank's website as well, and specify that it's for the Lacey project, for the Lacey Pantry project?
So Judy, I'll let you take the first one too.
Okay. You can donate at our website. There's a button on the top left that says donate, and you click on that. There is a designation. It will be, as you work through, it will say, would you like to donate in honor of someone? And that would be where you click yes. And then you'll have the option of putting in Lacey Food Pantry. So if you do the, on the green up above right there where it says make a donation in honor of, and then you can just put in Lacey Food Pantry in there, and we'll know that that's for the pantry.
Great.
Super easy. Thank you for pulling that up.
Yeah, thank you, Courtney. And so just to clarify, if you are wanting to make that donation and you don't make that designation, the money still goes to the food bank, but it doesn't go to the capital campaign of trying to raise the money for the completion of the pantry project, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So Robert will take the tough one again. So anything that's not designated as unrestricted, which becomes food bank gold, and it's used to support programs that are underfunded or don't have enough support to stand on their own. So those are still important donations, but in this context, we're really trying to finish the Lacey project. So
Great.
Please designate.
Great, thank you. And as Courtney was talking, there was actually a question that came up on the Q&A feature in Zoom, which I forgot to mention. For those who are watching through Zoom and registered, please feel free to ask any questions, and we will answer those as we're going through. One of them that popped up that Courtney mentioned it says, how many food bank clients are there in Thurston County, and how many of those are from the Lacey area, which I think will speak to just how necessary this project is to our community.
So I'll start and let Judy back clean up on this one. But in most years, we typically serve unduplicated, which means we just count the individual once, 54 to 58,000 individuals. So think of that as population.
Right.
Typically 12 to 16,000 households. The big number though is the number of visits, and that's running right now about 380,000.
Wow.
So
wow.
I think this year we'll break 450, maybe even 500,000 visits just due to the COVID frequency. One of the things that the board decided to do, and I am so thankful, they waived our limits, because typically we have 15 full visits, 15 partials, which in English means you can come twice a month. This year there are no limits, and what we're doing is just managing it week to week. So if a household needs help week after week after week, we are allowing them to do that. We are supporting them week after week after week. So the number of visits is quite frightening sometimes as we take a look at that. As far as Lacey goes, Judy shared that earlier. I think maybe Courtney, it's 27% or roughly 22,000. It kind of depends on whether you include the urban growth area, which we all know is the county, but you know, it depends on how you define Lacey.
Yeah.
And we can pull that data by zip codes. The other big that's really been startling, and I think both you and Courtney mentioned that, we have a lot of first-time users, individuals that didn't expect that they would need to use the food bank. And this year, for the first time, individuals are using the food bank. I think the drive-up pop-up model makes that a little more accessible for individuals, because you just drive up in your car. It's a car, it's not a person. So that makes it a little easier. But it's been as high as 15, 17% some months over the last few. So we expect to have record numbers by the end of the year. A weird circumstance.
Yeah. But thank goodness for you guys. I mean, and the food bank and all the work that you guys do and the effort you put forward. I mean, those pop-up models, like you mentioned, are heavily visited, and I've been out there and seen the operation, and it just goes so smoothly, and it's so easy for the residents to just drive up, and the food is just placed directly in their car and they drive off. And I think it's been inspiring to see some people come and they get 7 or 8 households worth of food, and they go and deliver it to their neighbors or family members who need the food as well. So you guys are doing really, really good work. Thank you so much. I wanted to give Carolyn or Cynthia an opportunity to chime in if you have any questions or comments from the information that's been shared.
One thing I can add is, in addition to what's happening with this project, there are neighborhoods, including mine, that are doing food collections every 2 months. And I believe we collected in our neighborhood alone something like 45 bags of food that went straight to the food bank. So I know the need is really great out there, but I hope that some of these efforts are starting to help a little bit. And if I could just pose a question back to Robert real quickly, I always like to try to put a human face on, you know, the people that we're seeing and trying to help. And with these new people that you're seeing, Robert, are there some reasons for that? Is it job loss? Is it one partner has to stay home, so there's only a single income now? Is it illness? I mean, what can you tell us a little bit more about what you all are seeing?
I'm going to let Judy answer that from the perspective of drive-ups, the pop-ups, because she's one of the staff that's been assigned to those. And it's kind of a unique opportunity in that 1-minute window to listen to the story. So I'll let her talk about that, and then I'll talk about the organization as a whole and what we've seen in general terms.
Okay. Thanks for asking. That's a great question to ask about the faces. I would say there has been everything. So one of my most recent stories is a school staff person who was just laid off, and she was picking up for multiple families in the weeks leading up to her layoff, and she knew her layoff was imminent. And she said, you know, the next time I come through, I'll be picking up for myself as well because I won't be working. And I asked her, I said, well, who are you picking up for? You know, who are your typical families? And there are folks that don't have a car, can't get to the site, have somebody working who's using that car. So transportation is a huge issue. Families who would be underserved. So it was really heartwarming to hear about her and the families that she was connected with through the schools. So that was great. That's one example. I would say had for a recent online fundraiser we did, we talked to a mom, married family with children, husband, they would consider themselves middle class. Husband is going through cancer treatment, and they have more bills than they know what to do with, and they are using the food bank as a resource for their food budget. And she said, I never imagined that we would be here, but I'm so grateful and thankful. That's another example. I'm going to finish with the last one, which sort of had me with a lack of words, which is kind of unusual for me. And that is a number of weeks ago, an older gentleman in his early 80s. He self-declared how old he was. He said, never asked for help before in my life, but I've been in and out of the hospital 3 times in the last 9 months. I have $80,000 worth of medical bills that I will die with, and I need to be here. And I didn't quite know what to say. I collected myself and said, I'm just so glad that you found us and that you felt comfortable reaching out. So we have seen, as you can imagine, everything.
Thank you.
So this is Robert again. I guess one way to sort of characterize it is that most of the new faces are people that typically are able to manage their household budget and get by, do well enough. And then whether it's being sick or having to work from home and it's fewer hours, whether it's not enough sick leave, whether it's being unemployed, whether the seasonal job they count on in the summer didn't happen, their household income declined a bit, and they just need some help to get by. And that's usually how they come to us the first time. Typically, after a few visits or a few months, people get back on their feet and they're able to take care of themselves. And then they might bounce back into our system for a bit and then bounce out. So I think of that as sort of this curve where people bounce in and out. And that's really the majority of who we serve these days. We still have low-income households that are very dependent on our services, but more and more we're perceived as a community resource. And frankly, that's what we are. We're community-based, we're community-supported. It's a resource for you when you need it. It's not about how much you make, not about what your job status is. It's about you need some food to get by this week. Please use that community resource. It's community donations supporting us to be able to support you.
Thank you so much, Robert. I think that during this whole COVID pandemic, a lot of us are seeing that it could easily be our family that needs that in the blink of an eye. You know, you just don't know. Nobody anticipated this happening. So you just never know. And so having you guys as a resource is so important. Judy, you had mentioned that transportation can oftentimes be a big barrier. And I think getting this Lacey site finished and up and running is super important just for that reason. It's right on a city bus line. So people can hop on the bus and swing by and get food and get back home with ease. So that's just another benefit to this one, getting up and running. So I wanted to real quick move on to Blake with the Lacey Chamber and hear from you, Blake, just how the Chamber is supporting this effort in the coming months as well.
Yeah, well, we are extremely excited to be partnering with the City of Lacey and North Thurston Public Schools again to benefit the Lacey Pantry. And our members are also very excited. And so one of the things that our members are going to be doing is we're doing a roundup receipt program, or a roll up your receipt. And so customers will have the opportunity to round up to the nearest dollar, and all of that will be then donated to the Lacey Pantry. We've got some cool fundraisers that we'll be doing at our forums, where we will be passing the pot, and that'll be going towards the Lacey Pantry as well. And then on our website, we do have a link to the North Thurston Public Schools donation page as well. So members or community members can go on our website and be connected to that donation site. But very excited and really looking forward to helping out with such a wonderful cause. And I know all of our members are very much looking forward to helping out again this year.
Great. And this is your first year as the executive director, just a few months in, correct? And so this will be your first year working on the Compassionate campaign. So we're excited to have you as the leader of the Lacey Chamber.
Well, thank you. No, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I've been here now for almost 2 months. So, but yeah, absolutely a wonderful opportunity, and very, very excited to be engaged in the Compassionate community.
Great. Thanks, Blake. I saw one of the questions come in that can speak to what the information that I have to share, but somebody asked if the city of Lacey is contributing funding to the Pantry project. And so some of the ways that Lacey is going to be getting involved is we are making it possible for our citizens to easily donate to this effort as well. We have on our utility bill payment, if those of you who pay by check and with your statement still, there's a little box on that statement on the portion that you remit with your payment where you can mark that you want to support the Lacey Food Bank. And then you can identify that donation amount so that when your bill comes in, then that will be sure to set those funds aside for the project, and a check gets sent weekly to the food bank from our finance department to be donated that way. Also, we just added last week, I believe, the option for people to easily donate online. There's a lot of online payments now. And so there is an easy option there as you move through your transaction to pay your bill. Right before you hit submit, you can also choose that you would like to donate. And there's a couple different options of organizations to donate, the Lacey Food Bank being one of those. So it should be quick and easy for our residents and citizens of Lacey to get involved in that way. So we'll definitely be keeping track of that and what that amount comes to. And then also the City of Lacey employees, every year we have a employee giving campaign, and we will be doing that again this year. It varies every year. Sometimes we just ask for donations. Sometimes we pay for, have little games that we create. So it's a little different now with COVID, and some people are working from home. So we'll see what that looks like, but we're excited to get involved with our employees as well. We are going to be pushing information out. So those of you watching, keep an eye on our social media, our website. Again, we have a link that goes to the Thurston County Food Bank, the North Thurston Public Schools site for their easy donation there. So if you're a City of Lacey employee and you want that money to be contributed towards this City of Lacey, then just make that mark there. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that each of our partners are going to be contributing this year. So we are super excited for that. Are there any other info? Cynthia, did you want to comment or have any questions for the group?
Not questions. I just wanted to see whether or not, I know some of our CARES money went to a number of other things like utilities, rent, childcare and stuff. And I was trying to double check to see if we specifically did the that through the for the food bank, but I'm not sure I particularly see that. Maybe Carolyn remembers or not. I know we tend to try to focus on that, but we had a number, 3 or 4 packages, and I'm just not sure.
That's okay. Well, and if you need to take a look at that, we do have one other question that came in. Looks like directed more towards Judy or Robert. It says, how or where does the food bank acquire its food supply? So obviously through donations of the community, but any other way that you guys take on food? And then also, how much does it spend each year on food acquisition?
So I would say that question's answer has changed over the years. I would say typically about 65 to 75% of the food we distribute is via donations. We actually rescue 1 to 1.5 million pounds of food a year from the landfill, essentially food donated at the grocer level. What's nice about that is that Lacey, as you may be aware, has a large industrial complex / center with a number of food wholesalers, and they're very generous donors to the Thurston County Food Bank. And they typically donate in 1 to 3,000 pound lots when we pick up. And it varies everything from frozen meat to eggs, dairy products, canned goods, dry goods. That's a huge resource for us, as well as donations picked up Monday through Saturday, typically at most of the banners in our community. A banner would be Safeway, Albertsons, Fred Meyer, QFC. We're pretty much everywhere. And then food drives, which this year really haven't been much of a resource because there isn't a good way to do that. And frankly, if we had a really large food drive that brought in a lot of miscellaneous food, I wouldn't have the volunteers to sort it. So most of the food drives we are supporting or trying to message are single item or 2 items so that the sorting task is a lot smaller. I would say the most startling difference is last year we purchased about $150,000 to $200,000 worth of food. This year we're pushing $1 million in food purchases. And part of that is the distribution model moving away from fresh frozen, at least initially, to pre-boxed canned goods. That's expensive, and that's primarily purchased. And it took us a couple months to figure out how to safely distribute fresh produce, frozen meat again in this new world. So, I'm glad that we're doing that again, but there for a while it was dry canned goods only, and to keep up the pace. The other reason we're purchasing so much more is that we're not limiting visits. So we're going to distribute a lot more food this year than in previous years. We are buying by the full truckload though. So what does that mean in English? It means I bought roughly 50,000 pounds of peanut butter for $53,000. So 1 full semi truck.
Wow.
And that's when you think about how much peanut butter costs at the grocery store, you get a sense of that. And that's how we're using funding that comes to us via the CARES Act, whether it's the county or a city or the state, is to buy full truckloads. And, whenever you do a new thing like a Lacey food pantry, the latest or past new thing was to build the warehouse or purchase a warehouse in Tumwater. At the time, the board thought I was crazy. Now I'm a genius because we couldn't store that food if we didn't have that facility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Wow. Well, thank you very much, Robert. I think it's important to stress, as we're talking about fundraising for the new Lacey site, as Courtney and a couple people mentioned, some people just aren't in a position to be able to donate money right now. So I would strongly encourage those of you who want to be involved and feel moved to get involved in this, definitely reach out to the food bank, Robert or Judy, or just call and ask, like, how can I donate my time and volunteer? That would go a long ways. And as Robert mentioned, food drives, for a while now, they've been asking just for specific items. And so definitely call first and just ask, what are you in need of? What are a couple of items that I can bring, instead of just big bags of random food, which is always appreciated. But right now, with their limited resources and volunteers, it's just going to make it so much easier to get that food placed if it's just one or two different kinds. So, well, we're nearing the end. We don't have any more questions. I want to give just anybody a chance to have any final thoughts or questions for the group, if there are any.
One thing we have mentioned that was prominently displayed in the video that we saw was the public art project. And I'm wondering if Judy or Robert might be able to share a little background on that and how that got there.
So I'm going to let Judy take that as well, but don't forget the leaves.
Oh, yeah. Right. So the leaves were from the North Thurston Public School children. So don't let me forget that. So we were approached shortly after we secured the property by someone who knew us well, knew our work, and said, there's a grant out there. It's from the Department of Ecology, and it really supports the work that you're doing to redirect food from landfill to table. And it's all about wasting less food. And we said, great, what does it entail? Because it was the Department of Ecology, and it has to do with art and messaging, marketing, and educating children and the community about wasting less food. And so we put a request out there for proposals, since we thought it really was a pretty interesting and well-aligned opportunity. We got some great ideas, put in a proposal, it was accepted. Again, put out proposals to artists and to folks to market and message. And our local artists that we eventually secured went into the North Thurston Public Schools and did educational sessions with kids about where does food come from, what's the significance of wasting food and the damage it does to our environment, and how important it is to make personal changes. And so that was pretty inspiring. And kids, this is why you need to go out to the site at some point. I'd pick a drier day, but if you like rain, go on a rainy day. But they made vinyl stencils with messaging that they were inspired to create through their education classes with the artist, Carrie Ziegler. And so Carrie took those vinyl stencils, made staining shapes of leaves to complement the sculpture that she was inspired to produce with children's input. And oh, there it is. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, you guys are perfect. I love it. And so it was really neat, but those children, so we're hoping that kids come out and look for their leaf and go, I did that. And this is what it means to me. But that was a really community engaging piece that enhanced our location. It educated the community, and it just made it better for all of us to be involved in a project like that. So never did I imagine that we'd have permanent, beautiful art as part of a food pantry or a farm stand or a farm. So thank you for asking about that, because it really was. I worked with the artist through the whole process, and it was just so exciting to watch this, all the messaging turn into images, and the images turn into a sculpture, and the sculpture turn into this very large, gorgeous piece that is really quite a statement.
It is, yeah. The site is really, it's going to be beautiful when it's done. I can't wait to see it. And I know I speak on behalf of the city, and I'm sure the other partners as well, but it's been such a reward to be a part of this from the beginning, and to see it kind of come full circle. And here we are, you know, raising funds for the final stage of this campus, which is just really exciting. I can't wait to see the final product. Judy and Robert, as always, you guys are so appreciated, and the work you do is so important to so many families in our community. So it's always a joy to, oh, there's another picture of a different angle of the art. It really is. It's very cool. I encourage everybody to stop by the site and just take a look, but not when construction is happening. So I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. Thank you so much to Deputy Mayor Pratt and Councilmember Cox for joining us, Deb and Courtney and Blake. I appreciate everybody's time, and I just encourage those watching to spread the word that help is needed, whether it's monetarily or just volunteer efforts at the current locations. There's a lot of ways to get involved, and it would not go unnoticed and unappreciated. So I encourage everybody to do that. But that brings us to the end of our chat. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all next time.